I'm Jen Nelson, one of the directors of Fu Panda 3.
I'm Raymond Zibach. I'm the production designer.
I'm Max Boas, the art director for Fu Panda 3.
I think one of the important things for us, since this was the third one, was to try and do some things that we weren't able to do before. And a couple of the great new environments of the Panda Village and the Spirit Realm was something that we wanted to really explore what that could be. And it actually was led by art because it was an entirely new environment, and these guys just came up with it and we followed it through story.
Even from the very beginning, we had those sessions where we actually talked even about what do we want to see in this film? What are the crazy ideas that could happen visually from design to story, even how all those things could cross over, even to what we would do with the palace. We just thought, well, those are things that would mean a lot to Poe, or that would visually be like big symbols that could mean something for the movie visually too. So I even love those kinds of just freewheeling sessions that we had. We had like kind of two big ones, I think, right at the very beginning, even as you were writing the story, and I thought that was great. Yeah, those were really fun. And then to see what how some of those ideas changed and became ideas in the film where Kai ended up destroying the palace was one of my favorites, actually. Yeah.
It's how to make it a set piece, really.
Yeah.
And the art really shows how to make that happen. And actually, one of Max's paintings was shot by shot, essentially what the final movie was, which was...
The Panda Village one?
No, that too.
Yeah.
That too. But the Oogway scene.
Oogway Spirit Realm, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Pushing the look of the golden environment when Poe gonna have a conversation with Oogway in Spirit Realm, and kind of playing off of Ramon's concept piece too, is a yellow environment with tons of peach blossoms, and the idea of having the sun be a chi disc and kind of rippling out chi energy, and a chi lake, and just from that one painting, kind of getting taking it further and taking it into CG and kind of lighting it the same way, and it's very satisfying.
So, Jen usually launches us on whatever it is, and it's funny, different things enter into design at different states. You can have a very finished storyboard idea coming to us. You can have just a premise for a fight, and we might just go away and do tons of just development because the idea is going to be so visual. We'll kind of go in very early and just play with it, or we'll actually get a more finished sequence where we know exactly what to do. We're really just then talking about time of day and mood, and we'll go in and kind of execute on something like that.
Working with the art department closely and kind of launching the team and coming up with drawings and designs and a lot of paintings in the art department.
Yeah, so Max runs the day-to-day of the art department. I check in with them once or twice a week, depending, because I'm working with all the other departments too. But Max really makes sure that everything's running smoothly in the art department.
Ramon's a master of telling story through color. But really, first we talk about what is the scene trying to achieve? What is the emotional context of it? Is it a moment where Poe is feeling euphoria and victory, or is it a moment of threat? Is the bad guy winning? Is the good guy winning? And they actually came up with this entire color theory, so you'll know exactly who's in the victory side.
Yeah, and for me that was always great to watch how those color themes can carry through all three movies. We would take some colors and we would change them because of the movie. Like on this one, Kai takes green kind of away from Oogway, but it still represents the afterlife and longevity, and so it was great to kind of play with those color themes. But for me, it was all about assigning these themes and then really trying to stick to them. And that's kind of a discipline that at times you'll end up painting yourself in a corner a little bit, and then you have to find the logical way to still use that color and have it mean something.
And I remember one little detail that you said in the very beginning. The Valley of Peace was orange and warm because you wanted fall colors.
Yeah.
And that contrasted with the Panda Village, and that's the only time you ever used the white highlights.
Yeah.
And you said, these are the only times we're going to use it because of the high altitude sensation of the village. And I thought it really set apart the look of the two places.
Yeah, and we also wanted to almost have Poe leave behind Kung Fu to go to this new place. And that was kind of it was a stronger story beat for a while, but then I love that it's still there. And I love that we could take the Valley of Peace and change the color to fall colors for this movie.
I think one of the things that's amazing about this film is how closely it resembles the original art that these guys make. We try very hard to make it match down to the graphic nature, some of the brush strokes.
Yeah. I think what was nice about working on a third film is now everybody's used to the style. Now we can push it even further. The lighters love working within that style. And then now they just want to match it because they've seen how it can work and how much it can influence the audience, and now they know how to do it. So now they're delivering that thing, and you're just getting the benefit of that by being on this sequel. The fun part when you're talking about lighting is we developed that look for Spirit Realm, and Max and I that was very kind of hands-on with the lighters to, not exactly us working the controls, but sitting there talking about how light works in this environment, how we're going to surface everything for it to work.
Right. And also painting in the graphic light beams where they're going to be behind a character, like backlighting them.
That was a whole compositional pass that we had to do.
And we even hand positioned 3D light, a reference for lighting. So when it got to lighting, it would have a guide to know where those graphic light beams are. So we're doing that in the art department as well.
But in the end, you see exactly where everyone is because every single ray of light is composed to frame a character. And it's actually much harder to do something stylized than it is to make something realistic.
Yeah, every shot ends up being art directed. You have to, because you can't have one setup and just turn it on and then have every camera angle work. It's impossible for something with that much action, that much movement, that much dynamic composition.
It really comes down to what does the story need? What does the movie need for that character in that moment? And if the image tells that story, then it works. If it somehow falls short of that, then it actually muddies up the experience of understanding what the story is. And I don't go in and say, do exactly this. I will tell what the point is of the shot, what the point is of that character, what that moment is about. And these guys somehow make things far better than I could ever ask for. It's all just happens. I'm so spoiled.
Well, we also, we come off of her confidence in what she's trying to say. We want to enhance that story. But it is funny how much it is about confidence, because sometimes we talk about, how do you get all the artists to kind of collaborate in a direction that is where you want to go, rather than scattered everywhere. So I think a lot of times it comes down to that confidence in where you're starting and everybody trusting in where you're going. So for me with the sequel, visually, I think that was kind of easy to tap into that confidence because everybody on it just loved that look and wanted to try and achieve that look and further that look.
Yeah.
I think it's also like being able to focus in on what does the scene need as far as designing a set or a smaller, a location within a set. And if launching an artist and working with the team is always coming back to what are we trying to say, what's going to best support that scene for the characters.
And time and again, we have meetings where we would show something and people have tried something they've never done before, and it works time and again because the guidance of these guys to get the visual of this movie is so spot on that sort of euphoria of everybody seeing something super cool, it drives us. It so drives us because we go, it's going to work. It worked last time and the time before and the time before. It's a crazy idea, but let's try it. Yeah,
that excitement, that kind of energy, to me, that's what animation's about. I mean, from the first film to this film, I just couldn't wait to see what's the next favorite sequence, and that just would happen time and again, like you were talking about Max's painting of the Spirit Realm when we had that sequence up. I mean, it's hard to say how that feels because you don't want to get too like you're boasting about it, but it felt so great to see that, and the whole room, everybody was jazzed about a sequence like that.
Chilies.
Yeah.
Everybody got the chilies when they saw that moment.
Because the story's cool, the look's cool, the effects.
everything is just giving you goosebumps, you know, and that's fun when that happens.